Welcome to your interview, June. Firstly, please introduce yourself and your current job title at Revature now.
Sure. So my name is Joon Park. I'm a senior project manager here at Revature, and so I work under the project management office. And so I've been here for it'll be 10 years in actually this month. Actually, this month was 10 years for me.
Oh, wow. Happy anniversary.
Oh yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
What software language did you train in?
Sure. So I did training back in early 2013. I well the the training was on .NET technologies, and so originally I was a software developer for a couple of years. In fact, I got hired here as a software developer, but my roles have changed a little bit, and so I do project more on the project management side now.
Okay, great. Tell me about, your the best part of your training experience.
So there was a couple things that stick out to me as things that I really enjoyed. One thing specifically was working with a team, and so back in college we had some group assignments here and there, but ultimately it was more just individual learning and just instructor learning. But one of the best things about the training, and I believe it's how it's done now, it has been a long time, but I think the format is very similar, where in the beginning it's more instructor led, but near the end we work on projects and we work on a team where everyone has their individual roles, and we go through multiple projects where you have different roles for each project. So at one point you're the scrum manager, another project you work as the lead dev, the architect, etc. So it gave me a lot of exposure of how software development is done in the professional world. Also, obviously, learning new and cutting edge technologies was really cool. I'm sure those cutting edge technologies at the time are not cutting edge anymore, since technology does move so fast. But I think with applying those cutting edge technologies and learning the software development lifecycle from end to end, with multiple roles, I think was one of the most insightful things, and the most useful things that we definitely learned in during training.
Tell me about your relationship with your trainer.
hmm So my trainer was Nitin. He's unfortunately not with us anymore, but even back then he was a trainer, and he moved up to he was actually one of our VP of IT for a couple of years after training. And so my relationship with Nitin was great. My our batch was very small. I think our batches now run from 20 to 30 people. I think because it was a smaller batch, the relationship with our trainer was way more intimate, just naturally with three people and Nitin. I think it was our relationship was great. In fact, one of the things that I still thank him to this day. I talked to him maybe about 6 months ago, but he actually supported me a lot, even when I was on project. And so the relationship with myself and Nitin, surpassed just training. And the year and a half that I was on project in South Carolina, he helped me a lot. It's so hard to learn software development in a very short period of time. So, for our training, it was 14 weeks. And I know, back then we didn't really have a lot of support on the project side, but Nitin really took me under his arms and really supported me a lot. And I needed that actually, in the new project. And so, yeah, I think, me and my relationship again with Nitin was awesome. And yeah, I do appreciate, and I consider him as a mentor for a very long time. And so we fallen, off communication a little bit, but at the same time, we had a great relationship.
That sounds great. So, how was your relationship with your batchmates, although small?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, obviously, naturally, it's very intimate. And in fact, so my two other batchmates, Sule and Ruben, Ruben and myself, we, after the project, we didn't really keep in contact. But Sule, actually, I still keep in contact to this day. And so, because I think, especially when we're on project, we all actually went to different companies, and so we were all spread across the United States. I went to South Carolina. Ruben, I believe, went to Alabama, and then Sule went to North Carolina. And so I think me and Sule just were kind of close. And in fact, he visited me in South Carolina while we were on project. And so, yeah, I think the fact that we went to different places and we were alone, and we really didn't, we all three of us went to places that we had zero connection to, and we really didn't know anybody there. And so I think just sharing that experience of going somewhere where we don't know anybody, that I think bonded us a lot, especially with me and Sule. And so yeah, our the relationship was great. Also, our relationship naturally grew just because of the fact that we worked on projects. And so Nitin would actually bring people from other batches because we're only a batch of three. And so we had people serve as QA. Some people serve as database administrators for our projects. And so just naturally, through how we train and how the projects work, and just that collaboration in general, allowed us to build that relationship together.
Great. That sounds great. So, how would you describe the training program in 3 words?
So it took me a while to think about this, but the three words I would choose would be fast, enlightening, and collaborative. And so the first word, fast, again, there's so much content and there's so much things to learn within software development, and it's very hard to do in 14 weeks, especially with people with all different types of backgrounds. So I wasn't a computer science major. I was actually in a IT major, or at VCU they call it IS, information systems, and but it was a concentration with software development. But at the same time, there wasn't a lot of software development classes that I took. And so I came in knowing a little bit about software development, but I didn't know a lot. And so, there was a lot of catch up that I had to do. In fact, during training, I told myself that my social life is going to take a hit because I took this very seriously. I spent hours and hours banging my head in front of the keyboard trying to figure this out. And, one, one of our old coworkers, his name's David Gaines. He used to work for the recruitment team, and he doesn't know any development, but at the same time, he knew exactly what the kind of the learning process of software developers, and he calls it that once you get to a point where the light bulb turns on, and that light bulb turned on for me probably around week 6, week 7 of training, where everything just kind of made sense. And before that, it didn't. And all throughout my 5 years of college, it didn't make sense at all to me as well. And so, yeah, I would say definitely fast paced. And so you're learning not only the coding language, but you're also learning a lot of software packages that are used, and you're training to be a full stack developer. So not only do you have to learn coding, you have to learn database, you have to learn the back end, and then the front end. So a lot of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so very fast. So that's I think the first word that I would describe training. The second thing is enlightening, and going back to what I talked about with college. It was very enlightening of how ill prepared I was for to become a software developer in the real world,
Mm.
and through the training and through Revature, that it was very enlightening to see, and it prepared me. Although I wasn't completely prepared, but at the same time, just learning the whole software development lifecycle, learning the different roles that are in a typical IT team, how to interact with scrum managers and project managers. That's really the enlightening piece that was very useful for me in my professional career, especially in the beginning. I learned definitely a lot on the job when I was on project. But again, I think just again, the enlightening portion of just how IT departments operate. I think that was one of the biggest things that helped me. And also, again, going back, that how ill prepared I was straight out of college. And then finally, collaborative. And so, I've talked about this as well with the projects, but again, everything we did was in groups, even during the instructor, like the first couple of weeks where you literally just learn how to code. Even those, all of our assignments were group based. All of the homework that we did was even group based. So we did a lot of virtual. Well, actually, back then, actually, it's funny because webinars and Teams meetings like this, that wasn't really prevalent. And so we actually
Okay.
did stuff on the phone, which was interesting.
Wow.
But yeah, but it worked. And then we just used, like collaborative tools like Google Sheets to, send notes back and forth. But video chatting was not a big thing back then. So,
No?
man, it's making me feel old.
So,
But
what
at the
about
same time,
Skype?
oh yeah, Skype was a thing.
But not as
But I think
much.
yeah, we didn't really use it honestly. It was just a lot of speakerphone,
Yeah.
a lot of just Google Sheets and Google Word documents and what have you. But overall, definitely collaborative. There was a lot of late nights, trying to finish projects and trying to finish assignments. And so, those would be the three that I would describe the Revature training.
Fantastic. So, What did you learn during your training experience? Throughout the entire experience, what did you learn? What stood out?
Yeah, I think what was kind of unexpected, again, I kind of mentioned it with the lightning piece, but again, I think the big thing that I learned was how ill prepared that, at least from my experience with college, did. Because not only did Revature teach me the whole software development life cycle, but they, helped me with interview prep. They helped me with resume building. They helped me truly to become a professional software developer as a whole, not just the how to code, but how to interact with your IT team, how to collaborate on projects, and also how to get a job as well. So I think that was one of the things that was kind of unexpected that I didn't realize. I think with training you would think that it would just be more content and things of that nature, but it really shaped me to become a well-rounded software developer and just to set my professional career up for success.
Lovely. What did you learn during your training experience that was unexpected?
I think the collaborative effort was definitely very unexpected. Again, we did some group projects in school, but again, it was just more individual homework and reading and coding assignments and what have you. But really, I think the collaborative and just learning software development lifecycle end to end. Also being part of different roles as well, not just being a software developer, but I got experience becoming a Scrum manager, and that's prepared me for what I do now. Becoming the lead architect, which I was previously before, and becoming or also having experience becoming a database administrator. I was never a database administrator during professional years, but at the same time, being a full stack developer, you have to write some SQL queries and what have you. And so I think the unexpected portion is how much, um, let's say, how much exposure that I would have with the whole IT department and the different roles within a typical IT department was one of the things that was definitely unexpected.
Thank you. So, what advice would you have for someone considering Reviture's training program?
Oh man, I have a lot of advice. But I think the first thing that I would say is to be fearless. And I do know that a lot of people and Revature, in my opinion, Revature's program is not necessarily for everybody. And what I mean by that is you have to be willing to relocate. I think that's one thing. But some people who have families and what have you, and I'm not saying I've seen people who have you know had families that have been very successful through the program. Going through 10 years working here and seeing people go through the doors and go through training and what have you. It can be for everybody. However, it's not maybe ideal for everybody. But I think for those who or maybe having a tough time finding a job or looking for a career change without having to spend thousands of dollars again for another bachelor's degree in IT. I think, you know, all of the reservations that some people may have about this program, as in, if you have to move to a different state and move to a place that you don't know and have to work with people that you've never worked with before. I think those things, just to be fearless. I had some reservations about moving because I've lived in Northern Virginia all my life, and Revature is we're based out of here. Um, Me moving away from my family for the first time, I think, was very, it's a daunting task at the time. And in fact, I even went to VCU, which is only a couple hours away from Northern Virginia. So I never moved away from home for a very long time. And then moving to South Carolina was definitely something that, again, I was a little bit hesitant for. But when I took the leap and I actually went to South Carolina, that was actually, still to this day, it's one of the best experiences I've ever had in my whole entire life. In fact, it has prepared me and molded me into the man that I am. And through that, overcoming that fear, I think has helped me overcome other fears that I've had as well, and just to be more um, intentional with my actions and profession, both personally and professionally. So I would say that would be the number one thing, to be fearless. And the second thing is, I think overall to treat this as a job. I think some people, especially most of the demographic that we hire are or people that join the training program are people right out of college, including myself. I was right out of college, and I treated it as the job. It's professional training. It may look like somewhat a classroom setting, but it is professional training. And so I would say when you start training, definitely take it as if it's a very learning experience, because honestly, you're only going to get from the training, you're only going to get as how much you're going to put into the training. And I put in a lot of hours, and I can safely say that it has definitely prepared me, and it has jump started my career. I would never have thought that I would be where I'm at today before I started Revature training, and I can definitely attribute that to Revature, and that's why I'm here for the past 10 years, and it's been just a great experience, and the people here are great, and so yeah, those would be my two kind of pieces. Is again, just be fearless. Just if you have any reservations, then it may be a good idea for you to take that step, that leap of faith. And then the second thing would be definitely to just treat this as a job. And again, the more you put in, the more you're going to get out of this training program.
That is great advice, June. Thank you very, very much. A memorable experience you had during the training program? There's something
Mm,
that was just super memorable, fun.
let me see. What's a memorable experience? I not their training, but on project, and it
Mhm.
has to do with Revature, so I think it's relevant. But I'm not sure if we do this anymore, but one of the things that was really insightful for me, or really cool for me, was um, David and some other people, actually Megan Dominger, who still works here, they actually came down to South Carolina to visit us. There was a couple other people that I didn't even know that were part of Revature that were on different projects in the area. Actually, they all gathered us together and they took us to dinner for one day, and that was really cool. It showed that they were thinking about us. It's not we were just a someone that was just working for the working for the company and just under contract, but they actually came down, spent time, spent money and resources to come down and visit us and just check up on us and see how we're doing. And they wanted to know a little bit more about what we're working on. And so I think that ultimately was the driving factor for me to join Revature internally when they called me. And so I think that was really cool that again they spent the time again to visit me down in South and others in South Carolina, but that they cared. It wasn't just during the training that they cared, but even when we're on project, they cared. And I think that was really cool memory that I still have. And in fact, one of the people that came down there was, as I mentioned, David Gaines. And in fact, David Gaines, me and him, you know, that friendship actually blossomed a lot, where we had season tickets to the Washington Commanders back in the day. Unfortunately, he moved to Kenya now, and we still talk to this day, and he's one of my very close friends even to this day. So I think that was definitely a memorable memory for me.
That's great.